One of the most precious rivers in the world, the Euphrates River, is showing mysterious changes that have shocked people. Though it's home to numerous plants and animals and provides water to millions of people, there is something about the river that is more incredible than its significance. So let's find out in today's video, but before we get into the discovery, which country is the Euphrates River's mouth? Answer in the comments below. Here we begin with the video. The Euphrates is Western Asia's longest and most historically significant river. It is one of Mesopotamia's two defining rivers and the Tigris. The Euphrates River flows from Turkey through Syria and Iraq to join the Tigris River in the Chalcolithic, which flows into the Persian Gulf. The name Euphrates may have derived from Old Persian Ufratu and Avestan, hu perithua, which means good to cross over. Alternatively, some believe the name Euphrates is of Kurdish origin. In Kurdish, fere means wide, re means flowing water, and hat means flowing, resulting in fererehat, which means wide flowing water. The course of the Euphrates. The river runs for about 2,780 kilometers or 1,730 miles. It is formed by the confluence of two branches, the Kara in western Euphrates, rising in the Armenian highlands of eastern Turkey, north of Erzurum, and Murat, the eastern part, rising southwest of Mount Ararat and north of Lake Van. The upper reaches of the Euphrates flow southeast through Syria and Iraq, through steep canyons and gorges. In eastern Syria, the Kabur and Balik rivers join the Euphrates. Both rivers originated in Turkey. However, the Euphrates receives no further water flow downstream along its length. Instead, the river joins the Tigris north of Basra in southern Iraq to form the Arvan Shatt al-Arab to the Persian Gulf. The river used to split into numerous channels at Basra, forming a vast marshland, but Saddam Hussein's government largely drained the marshes in the 1990s to drive out the rebellious Marsh Arabs. The drainage policy has been reversed since the 2003 invasion of Iraq, but it remains unseen whether the marshes will recover. The Euphrates can only be navigated by shallow draft boats as far as Hit, Iraq, located 1,930 kilometers upstream and only 53 meters above sea level. However, above Hit, shoals and rapids render the rapid commercially impassable. Its annual inundation caused by snowmelt in northeastern Turkey's mountains has been mitigated partly by new dams and reservoirs in the upper reaches. The river is drying up. While world leaders gather in Egypt for a climate summit to address issues such as water and food supplies, many in Iraq and the Middle East face a crisis that could exacerbate regional unrest as communities compete for dwindling water resources. Climate change is a reality in Iraq, as stated by the UN mission in the country, adding that the country is the world's fifth most vulnerable to the global warming effects due to rising lower rainfall, temperatures, salinity, and dust storms. According to officials and water experts, the rains in Iraq have arrived later and ended earlier in the last 3 years. The country is a part of the Fertile Crescent, a region stretching from the Mediterranean to the Gulf, where farming first appeared over 10,000 years ago. Today, Iraq is far less fertile due to a triple blow of decades of conflict, lower rainfall, and less water flowing through its two major rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates. Desertification now threatens nearly 40% of our country's area, a country that was once one of the most productive and fertile in the region. Rainfall in Turkey's southeast, where the Tigris and Euphrates meet, was 29% lower than the previous three-decade average, and it will be even lower in 2021, according to data from Turkey's meteorological agency. According to the UN Food and Agricultural Organization in Iraq, nearly 90% of rain-fed crops, primarily wheat and barley, failed this season. Nevertheless, Iraq could produce nearly 5.5 million tons of wheat by 2020. According to the Reuters news agency, the government received $2.1 million from the organization last year. According to tribal leaders and Iraqi officials, water competition fuels disputes and conflicts among farming communities in southern Iraq. Standing by an almost dry canal branch, tribal leader Maqsad Rahim recalled how it used to be full of clear water and the landscape was lush with trees. There are so many sandstorms now because there aren't any plants or trees to protect us. Let's understand its significance in the Palaeolithic to Chalcolithic periods. The early inhabitants of the Euphrates Basin were restricted to its upper reaches, also known as the Fertile Crescent. However, from the 11th millennium BCE onwards, early permanent villages such as Abu Huraira, initially occupied by hunter-gatherers but later by some of the earliest farmers, Jerf al-Ahmar, Mureybet, and Nevalori, became established in the Taurus Mountains and the higher part of the Syrian Euphrates Valley. Lower Mesopotamia's occupation began in the 6th millennium and is generally associated with the introduction of irrigation, as rainfall in this area is insufficient for dry farming. Irrigation evidence has been discovered at several sites dating from this period, including Tel es Sawan. Ancient history. Southern Mesopotamia experienced an increase in the size and number of settlements during the Jemdet Nasr and early dynastic periods, indicating strong population growth. During the Akkadian Empire and Ur III empires, which controlled massive parts of modern-day Iraq and northeastern Syria directly or indirectly through vassals, large parts of the Euphrates Basin were united beneath a single ruler for the first time. Following their demise, the Old Assyrian Empire and Mari asserted their control over the northeast Syria and northern Mesopotamia, while southern Mesopotamia was ruled by city-states such as Isin, Kish, and Larsa, before being absorbed by the newly formed state of Babylonia under Hammurabi in the 18th century BCE. The Euphrates Basin was divided in the second half of the second millennium BCE between Kassite Babylon in the south and Assyria, Mitanni, and the northern Hittite Empire, with the Middle Assyrian Empire eventually eclipsing the Hittites, Mitanni, and Kassite Babylonians. The Neo-Assyrian Empire, from 935 to 605 BC, eventually won this conflict and gained control of the northern Euphrates Basin in the first half of the first millennium BCE. Control over the wider Euphrates Basin passed from the Neo-Assyrian Empire to the short-lived Median Empire, an equally brief Neo-Babylonian Empire in the 7th century BC, and finally to the Achaemenid Empire from 539 to 333 BC. Modern Era. The borders in Southwest Asia were redrawn in the Treaty of Lausanne in 1923, when the Ottoman Empire was partitioned following World War I. An agreement signed in 1946 between Turkey and Iraq required Turkey to report to Iraq on any hydraulic changes made to the Tigris-Euphrates River system and allowed Iraq to build dams on Turkish territory to control the flow of the Euphrates. Islamic prophecies. Some hadiths of the Prophet Muhammad in Islam suggest that the Euphrates will dry up and is drying up, revealing unknown treasures that will cause strife and war. Soon, the Euphrates River will reveal the treasure, the Gold Mountain, so whoever is present at that time should make no assumptions. Bukhari Sahih. According to the Prophet Muhammad, the hour will not arrive until the Euphrates River has dried up, revealing the mountain of gold for which people will fight. 99 men will die in the fighting, and each man will think to himself, "Perhaps I'll be the only one who survives." Sahih Muslim, Sahih Bukhari. According to the Prophet Muhammad, the Euphrates reveals its hidden treasures. Anyone who sees it should not take anything away from it. Al-Muttaqi al-Hindi, page 28 in Al-Burhan fi Alamat al-Mahdi Akhir al-Zaman. Therefore, the Euphrates will reveal a mountain of gold beneath it. Sunan Abu Dawud. Euphrates in the Bible. According to Genesis 2:14, one of the 4 rivers flowing from the Garden of Eden is the Euphrates. It's the 4th river to emerge from the Garden's river, following the Pishon, Gihon, and Tigris. The same named river defined one of the boundaries of the land promised by God to Abraham and his descendants, Isaac, Jacob, etc. Hence, it's frequently referred to as the river in the Hebrew Bible, Han-Nahar. It has always been assumed that it means river, but this isn't stated explicitly. Instead, it means liquid bursting forth. The Euphrates River was named after this root word, to gush forth. The Potamos Euphrates, or breaking forth like water of the Middle East, is prophesied to dry up in the near future in preparation for the Battle of Armageddon in the Book of Revelation. What do you think of the Euphrates River changes? Let us know in the comments below, and the answer to the question, Iraq is the mouth of the Euphrates River. Subscribe for more such videos.